first question to you is for sure that with the total pressure on the world, especially almost most of Europe and now Asia, under pressure from thermal and conventional energy, I'm shifting towards renewables in a big way. So what is the scope, especially with solar and wind taking shape?
I think that's a very, very good question, and we just got the news that the world population is increasing probably much faster. People live longer than that used to be, which means that we have to produce so much more energy for people, their consumption, and a lot of countries, you see, like Myanmar are joining the modern economy. They need a lot of power. So at the IPPF, what we see is that every country should have a healthy energy mix.
Right.
In which form you produce energy. Of course, energy saving is important, but countries have some fortunate countries have a lot of oil and gas. So like Malaysia, they have got a lot, but in some other countries there's not any form. Let's say my home Hong Kong, we had to import almost all the electricity. So it depends now that it's a healthy energy mix, that all different forms of energy is accepted and put in use. So in other ways, we don't discriminate any energy. Every energy has equal opportunity as long as it's efficient and safe.
That's right. So what do you see in this situation, because there's a huge pressure in countries like Germany against nuclear, and while on the other flip side of the argument, there are economies like India which have to progressively move towards nuclear energy because they have to feed a very large population. And okay, one is this view. The other is there are experts in the world market, including probably people like us, who say nuclear is also a type of renewable energy, because you are able to do that in fast breeder reactors in India, where the old and spent fuel is reused for the next cycle.
Yes, I think the latest figures from the Penwell publication was that there are 103 new reactors coming to Asia, nuclear reactors, within next 12-13 years, which is coming really fast. 60% of those are in India and China. Definitely, like big countries like your country and China, they need so much energy that there's no way that renewable energy can be built so fast. So either you get energy, or you wait longer, or you decide to use nuclear and some other new energy. Geothermal is coming, and there are new innovations coming all the way. For European perspective, some countries, Finland is really pro-nuclear, Germany is against nuclear, and this is understandable. Germany wants to make a jump in renewable energy, develop a lot of offshore wind parks, and probably they have enough funds and money and they want to do it. But for some other countries, it's not possible to change so fast.
Okay, so I also want to ask you this question, how the technology progress, like we were just discussing some time back, the technology progress in wind, for example, with large capacity turbines, and also the same way building very large solar farms and parks.
This would be really good. Solar parks. The technology is also for efficiency of the panels. It's changing now. It's really coming. So I think everybody would like to have more solar. The problem has been that the efficiency goes down so fast, and also it needs a lot of big land areas. So it should be built somewhere where there's enough land, and also is safe for the panels, and the panels should last longer. But I think within the next 3-5 years we see a lot of development in the technology is just getting better and better, which is really clean energy. For the nuclear, like both Finland and Sweden are developing the permanent storage for the nuclear waste, which is designed to last hundreds of thousands of years. It's very safely in a ground rock, but it's built so that the capsules can be taken out. They are put there robotic for depth of half a kilometer, but they can taken out if later, sooner or later, there will be a technology to process the used fuel and use them again or turn it to something else. So also the nuclear industry is waiting to solve this waste problem. But in North Europe we are already there. We're building those for 40 years. But in Asia there is not even any storage facility or plants really yet. So it's I can understand the people's feeling, because you can ask that, okay, what about the waste? But none of them have really plans yet.
Yeah, but I would like to put a lead question to that. Like in India, we use the enriched uranium in the stage 1 reactors, stage 2 reactors. And then from heavy water, we have moved to pressurized water reactors.
Yeah.
Now from the PWR, we are moving to the fast breeder.
Yeah.
In fast breeder, we are using the spent fuel.
Yeah.
In fact, this primary fuel is used secondary fuel, and the secondary fuel becomes the fuel of the new reactor. How do you see such technologies coming back?
I think it's developing rapidly, and also India is probably one of the leading system to this. Also China is developing fast. In some older economies like my native country Finland, we have a political decision how the waste should be stored, and so we can't move it to the other so easily. It had to be decided by the parliament. So I think these new dynamic economies, you can move faster to new technologies and solutions. And also, like in Europe, we cannot move the nuclear waste to other countries. It's forbidden. So every country with nuclear power plants had to solve it by themselves.
Yeah, but probably maybe if India cooperates with Finland, as a lead question, India could send this fast breeder technology and adapt to using your spent fuel.
Definitely, it could be.
That's a potential area.
It's a potential area, and what I've been discussing some of my colleagues here at IPPF, some other countries, they haven't been in nuclear for 10 years. Another 10 years, they don't have the expertise anymore. You can't build anymore. You can't anymore operate nuclear power plants. So it's good for countries here to build and operate, so that you can develop the know-how and experience. Because definitely nuclear, we have seen in Fukushima, you had to manage it really well. If you don't manage well, anything can happen, and you had to think, you had to betterment all the time the plans.
Right. So how do you see, like for example, when I compare again the question I give you for India, we have only about 225 gigawatt of power at this point, whereas China is close to 900 gigawatt. So a huge gap with the same populations, like India has 1.25 billion people, China has 1.4. So do you see India as a very large market for the whole world?
Well, there's no other way. So you had to build more and more power and energy. And I would think that you need all forms. Don't discriminate any god. So take the energy which produces. And you had to take all: wind, nuclear, solar. Everything had to be used, because the gap is so big.
Yeah.
So you had to react. Also biomass, you had to use every form.
Yeah, so what you're effectively saying is not to discriminate and compete between one form with the other, but make a nice mix as it goes forward.
Exactly. What we call at IPPF is healthy energy mix. It depends what your country, what is your sources and where you want to develop. So you have to decide that what it will be in the future, near future, and of course had to be efficient, cheap and safe.
That's great. Nice talking to you, Jari.
All right.
Look forward to see you again.
Thank you, sir. Bye.